up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Tonight, we have a pretty interesting situation that is going on and unfolding in parts of the Bay of Campeche and parts of the Gulf, as well as a few other areas of development that we're potentially going to be watching. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it tonight. We do not have anyone that's joining us as of right now. We'll see if anyone from Storms United will be helping us out tonight here. But here's the situation that we have going on right here for those of you tuning in. So this is the situation. We currently have an area of interest, Invest 91L, that is currently situated that's over the Yucatan Peninsula. It's about to cross into the Gulf and the Bay of Campeche over here. And this is what the NHC has been putting out with this. A broad area of low pressure centered over the southwestern Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico is producing a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms over the Yucatan and the adjacent waters. This system should emerge over the Bay of Campeche later tonight, and some development is possible on Saturday and Sunday if the remnant low, not the remnant, but just the low in general remains over water. By Monday, this system should move inland over eastern Mexico, ending its chances for additional development. Regardless of the development, though, locally heavy rains are possible over portions of Belize, Guatemala, and southeastern Mexico during the next few days. An Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft is scheduled to investigate the system on Saturday if necessary. 30% chance of formation in the next 48 hours. It was at 20% earlier this afternoon, 30% in the next 7 days. That has been unchanged. So taking a look at this now, let's go ahead and take a look at the aircraft reconnaissance plan for tomorrow right here. So this is what we have going on here. For tomorrow, they are expecting a Hurricane Hunter aircraft, at least right now in the Bay of Campeche, to move into their takeoff roughly, and either take off or arrive there roughly around 18 UTZ, which is 1 o'clock Central in the afternoon Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So hopefully we'll see some of that data going forward. And then we have another flight that's going to be moving in the next day, around 12:30 in the morning. That is expected right there. So we'll have to see how this will ultimately pan out going forward. But Hurricane Hunter aircraft are going in this system, which I do think is pretty interesting. But at the same time, it is kind of understandable as well due to the threat to land that this may pose. So that's something to go for, and that's something we're going to have to pay attention to as well. Taking a quick look at the satellite imagery right here, we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at Invest 91L. Taking a quick gander at that. I'm watching the chat. I know someone was talking about the burst of convection that's starting to fire off. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at it based on infrared. It's going to take a second to load up. So here's what we have going on right now. This is Invest 91L. Pressure for 1,011 millibars. Max winds are at 25 knots or 30 miles per hour. And already we have only started the stream for 5 minutes. And Brent Carlson has sent in a $4.99 super chat. Seizure warning for those who are epileptic due to the satellite. But we already have a $5 donation. Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate that support here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. All donations and all support is welcome and is greatly appreciated. But also be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. But that is unbelievable. We've only started the stream for like 5 minutes at this point, and here we are. Dark Steve is in saying hello to everybody. Welcome to the stream. But anyway, here's what we have going on right now across parts of the Yucatan Peninsula. So we do have this whole situation. We're seeing more convection starting to fire up a little bit more or so. So we'll have to see how this will ultimately go. But you are noticing more convection starting to fire off as it gets to the Bay of Campeche, and the system continues to move over. Taking a quick look on tropical tidbits real quickly. This is more out on the excuse me, I apologize. More so, pretty much, yeah, this is a little outdated, but you got the idea of it right here. It's taking a little while for tropical tidbits to load back up. Hopefully they're not having any issues over there, but ultimately we can still use this website. We'll just go ahead and use that for satellite imagery. It'll give us a better idea of what's going on. But ultimately, that's what we're looking at right now. I already have some people in the chat right there. So we're looking at some people in the chat are looking at hurricane models and all of that stuff as well. So let's go ahead. Part of me does not want to check the hurricane runs just yet. And the reason I don't is predominantly because I don't think models are, in my opinion, models would be good to use with this, mainly because of the amount of time that this is has over water, and just kind of how this has been developing. And I've said this in today's video: models are one thing, conditions are a whole other ballpark. But ultimately, taking a quick look at it, I just for my own entertainment, if we can actually pull these up right here. Okay, Tropical Tidbits might be having some issues right there, so we'll see how this ultimately pans out. But looking at the conditions that we're seeing right now, I've kind of looked at them a little bit earlier. Warm water is a constant with this. It's pretty much going to be over pretty much 82 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 28 to 29 degrees Celsius for those of you who use the metric system. But ultimately, looking at this now, definitely looks relatively healthy right now for an invest right now. The main question I have, and the main concern I have, though, is essentially, okay, we're looking at this right now, but the main issue I have with it is kind of the wind shear with it that we're dealing with, because if you take a look at some of the satellite imagery, and we can pull up a little bit earlier, if you take a look at that, at least from this area of interest in the Eastern Pacific, you are noticing a little bit. You are noticing a little bit of outflow, and you're also noticing some shear that's kind of impeding into the region right here. And if you do take a quick gander at this right here, if we take a look at this map for you, where it's currently situated, yes, there is a pocket of low wind shear to its south, but it's currently situated over about, at least where it's going to be entering, about 40, not 40, but around 30 knots of wind shear or so. So you're going to want to pay attention to that as well. So ultimately, I do, like we said earlier today's video, there is going to be a pocket of low wind shear that does emerge in parts of the Gulf over here as well. Taking a quick look at that, but by and large, there is relatively unfavorable shear. Does it mean the system's going to not develop? No, systems have developed pretty much in these kinds of conditions before, and we'll have to see how this will ultimately pan out. So that's kind of your situation we have right there. Taking a quick look at some of the satellite, I'm going to see if we can try to pull up something. Actually, never mind. I'll pull up a water vapor on this right here. Let's on Dapia right here. I think Tropical Tidbits is having issues, unfortunately. But taking a look at water vapor imagery, yeah, it looks like there is some. Actually, no, that's not water vapor. I'll take a quick look and we'll deal with moisture, and we'll deal with water vapor a little bit later. But ultimately, your situation that you have right here, it's rapidly evolving. It's a situation that we're going to have to pay attention to going forward. And regardless of the development, it does look like at least areas in the Bay of Campeche are going to be impacted by this. In terms of a possible landfall spot, it looks like it's heading towards around the Veracruz region right there. So you're going to want to pay attention to that going forward. But ultimately, the way this has been going, you're going to have to pay attention to this. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to some questions in the chat. Right now, it's been pretty busy right here. Is the Atlantic hurricane season going to be in 2025 this season? Will it July, August, September, and October, will they be busy? I can tell you for a fact that August, September, October are most likely going to be busy for sure. In terms of July, I've been kind of paying attention to some of the conditions. I've been paying attention to some of the runs, and I've been paying attention to the Madden-Julian oscillation. We actually had an interview with Weather Kingdom on that yesterday, actually. But ultimately, the way I look at this is essentially, Um, July could it be active? Potentially at least more active than it usually is. Definitely, I think it's going to be more active than last year, which was we didn't have any development in the month of July because of the Sahara dust. But ultimately, the way I see this panning out is essentially you're going to have more probabilities and you're going to have more chances of development happening in July, mainly because the MJO is going to be more favorable, and I can show you the charts right here. Taking a quick look at this, as you can see, the green indicates a more favorable MJO pattern. The brownish favors less of it. Essentially, you're going to start seeing that MJO hovering across parts of the Atlantic over here, starting around mid to late July, and that's going to potentially open up a few avenues for tropical development, especially if the Sahara dust weakens, and especially if the wind shear does calm down, which, according to many runs, it has been forecast to do so. So that's kind of your situation that you're looking at right here. I wonder why 2025 hurricane season was a late start. Predominantly because yes, you had the warm water, but the wind shear ultimately was kind of just pretty strong all over the place. And then you had the Sahara air layer on top of that. June's generally not particularly favorable for development, regardless. But ultimately, that's kind of what you had panning out. So that's kind of the situation and why we had such a slow start. And I would argue that it isn't exactly quote unquote slow start, mainly because the climatological mean for a hurricane season to start at least June 1st, but the first named climatologically is around June 20th, and we were only off by a few days when we had Tropical Storm Arlene. So that's kind of the situation that we had going on with that. Okay. But yeah, that's thank you very much for that. I'm currently in Storms United to see if anyone would like to come on. So I apologize if I'm being a little quiet. Just actually hold up. I'll just send this to a different chat. But ultimately, yeah. If you have any more questions, feel free to type them in. I'm currently doing something in Storms United. I'm making a quick announcement on there. So, yeah. If you guys want to join the server and you want to get some kind of the behind the scenes to the stuff we do here you go. Sorry, Andrea, my apologies. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been a pretty long day for me. But taking a look at that's our Discord server, Storms United. If you'd like to be a part of it, feel free to join. We would really appreciate it. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, that's the situation. Ultimately, yeah. So, like I said, the climatological mean isn't wasn't until the 20th, and it looks like Yoshi is in the live stream right now. He's just deafened, so we will hear from him in just a second. But ultimately, yeah, that's just kind of the general gist of it. What a crazy sequence that whole situation was. So, yeah, okay. All right, so, okay, Yoshi will be in just a quick second. But ultimately, yeah, we're watching 91L mostly tonight, and we will continue to keep you updated on that. Yeah, yeah, I may be in the minority, but I pronounce it Andrea, or I mean, I pronounce it either way. I've done it multiple times, but yeah. All right. So, okay. All right. Okay. Just going ahead and resetting the satellite right here, getting our latest frame. We can, but yeah. All right. So, taking a quick gander at the satellite again. All right. All right. Okay, just checking if tropical tidbits actually is open or not. Oh boy. It would be very helpful if Tropical Tidbits was not down right now. But ultimately, yeah. Last year we didn't get any storms in July. Will we get one? I will say in my opinion, it's more likely we will than not. Well, we will. Well, sorry, will than not. It's a bit of an arbitrary term. Well, it's more likely we will this year than we will get last year because we're seeing a more favorable setup potentially across parts of the MDR. Also, you're looking at potentially something happening along the East Coast as well. So you're going to want to see how that will ultimately pan out. So, yeah. All right. So yeah, taking a look at the satellite imagery definitely is pretty interesting. You have this system basically, starting to move closer and closer to the Bay of Campeche into those warm waters, and seeing how that will ultimately pan out will ultimately be interesting. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Dark comet at some parts are 31 degrees Celsius. Around the Bay of Campeche region, it's actually not. I can actually pull up the SST temperatures for you over here. Across parts of the Bay of Campeche are at around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius right here. The 31 degrees Celsius waters are actually further up to the north, like off the coast of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama over here. So that's where we're at over there. But across where 91L is going to be crossing, it's definitely a little bit cooler around around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. That's about 82 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you living in the United States. So that's we'll have to see right there, and we'll have to pay attention to that. Another thing I'm going to pay attention to as well is the ocean heat content. OHC, in my opinion, is not going to be as big of a factor for 91L than it would be for another storm for a couple of reasons. Number one, the ocean heat content where this is currently at right now, what you're gonna see is basically it's an area of about, I'd say, 25 to 50 OHC. So ultimately, you have some pretty warm waters, but they're not very deep. And whatever this system does use to fuel for potential development is likely going to be at the surface, mainly because at the surface and not like needing to upwell any waters or anything like that. So, okay, he's doing some stuff. All right, Yoshi will be on in about 5 to 10 minutes, so we can get some more analysis on that. But anyway, essentially the question, basically, OHC is not going to be as big of a factor in this case. That's the first reason. The second reason is because, I'm blanking for a second. The first reason is just because there's not really that much there. Second reason is, I blanked on it, I'll come back to it in a second. But ultimately, yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how it's panned out right here. Now, taking a quick look at the climate reanalyzer, does look like the Gulf did cool off a little bit over the last couple of days. So we'll have to pay attention to it. It's still kind of on par with its 2024 water temperatures right now. We'll have to see how the trends go through the rest of July. But still very warm, still very concerning to me to take a look at right there. Yeah. So ultimately, that's a factor. So, yeah. Okay. Hopefully, tropical tidbits. Yeah. I'll just refrain from using that for the time being until we can actually figure out what is going on with that. So, yeah. All right. So, essentially, the basics of this are basics. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I also wanted to talk a little bit. I talked a little bit about wind shear. Oh, someone was mentioning the dry air possibility. Based on what I was seeing and based on the charts I was looking at, unfortunately, I can't pull some of them up because the models are not really working on tropical tidbits. I can see if I can pull them up on pivotal weather. Taking a pivotal weather right here. See if I can pull that up and okay, doing this because if that's the case, then we might. Let's see. Let's go to the tropical, the Gulf, and we will go ahead and set the parameter. Let's go ahead and get the European. Yeah, 18Z will be fine. And then looking at relative. Okay, this is 2 meter relative humidity. I want to look at upper air stuff. Um, okay, that's 500 millibar heights. Upper air moisture. Okay. Oh, actually, this will be interesting right here. So we can actually pull up the the moisture at from ground level up to the upper levels. So that'll be interesting to do. But hold up 1 second. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Yoshi, you're ready. Yeah, I'm ready for you if you're ready. So yeah.
Awesome. Hello, guys. I'm the tropical analyst for Storms United, I would say, since I mostly do tropical. There's other people on here, but they're not here right now.
All right.
So, we got Invest 91L. This was put as an AOI yesterday by the NHC, and it's slowly gone up so far. Let me check, since I haven't checked the 8 p.m. advisory yet. Did they do anything with it?
Yeah, they did a little bit. Like they increased the
30,
probability
30?
at 48 hours to 30, and it's 30-30 overall instead of 20-30.
Okay. Makes sense. It only has, I'd say it only has about 48 to 54 hours, probably more 48 since
Yeah.
it's a bit after that.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, let's look at our system. I got this up on AWIPS right now. I'm
All
going to
right.
see if I can actually share AWIPS.
Yeah. Go ahead and share it on your screen if you'd like.
Sharing it now. Tell me if you see it.
Yeah, I see it. Let me go ahead and pull it up on the stream very quickly. Uh,
Awesome.
all right. Okay.
Okay,
There
so
you go.
this is what we're looking at over here, the Bay of Campeche. And this is the Bay of Campeche, sorry. This is the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, the borders are really hard to see, but the majority of the convection, at least, is over land, over the Yucatan Peninsula. However, we do have a bit of it which is over water, which is going to be very interesting because the second it got over water, about a couple hours ago, it started firing convection, which means it's in at least a healthy enough environment to start doing that
Mm-hmm.
with SSTs and moist air. The question is, since I'll talk about it later, but the question would be, what about wind shear? That's the main thing, right? If you look at 200 millibar air maps on models, you would see that it's going to go through a trough of the next 48 hours. The question is, how will the trough impact the system, and what's the placement of the trough, really? Since the more north the trough is, that means
Hey
the
Yoshi, are
less
you
wind
trying
shear
to
the system will
present
get.
something? Because it's mainly stuck on the your AWIP screen here on the Discord.
Yeah, I know. I'm not switching between
Oh,
anything.
okay, just making sure.
I'll get to the maps in a minute. Don't worry.
All right.
But um, yeah. So if we go over to about Texas here, we will see that we got a lot of convection over there, which doesn't matter much to the system for now. However, once that trough builds in, we're gonna see a dip into Texas and Mexico, and by that time, we're going to see this system over here trek over through the Bay of Campeche, and it's gonna be around over here. I don't know if my mouse is showing, but it's gonna be about
Yeah, it
on the
is.
Mexican coast. Awesome. So that means that that is going to get sheared quite a bit. The main two questions are, it's mostly about placement. Where is the system going to be placed? And where is the trough going to be placed? Since this storm has a very tight corridor, and between the Mexican coast landfalling before it actually develops into anything and just crushing itself out with mountains, or if it goes too north, then it'll go into that trough and just shear itself out until it dies. So, it has quite the tight corridor, but some models do want it to go through that tight corridor and kind of develop it. Those include the Icon and the Euro here. The GFS had it at 12Z, but now it doesn't as much.
Okay.
I assume because the 200 millibar maps are complete crap. So
Please
that
continue.
so it's going to have a very hard time trying to develop itself basically anywhere. But if it's in the wrong place, even by a few miles, then it could probably either shear itself out or get screwed over by mountains, which isn't very fun for the system.
Oof.
But it has been increasing due to one, increasing support, and two, it's been doing a bit better lately than at least I expected. I'm not sure as much for the NHC, but they did increase odds. Initially, it was 10-20, and now it's at 30% over the next 2 and 7 days. So, why is that? Well, over land, weirdly enough, we've seen it try to do some little rotation kind of thing a couple hours ago.
All right.
And I can actually see if it's still doing that. I need more frames. Hold on. It's going to take a bit to load, so I'll explain while doing this, while it loads. But basically, over the last few hours, we saw a bit of rotation on land, and it's not abnormal to see that. Take example, Tropical Storm Cristobal of 2020, if you guys remember that.
Yep.
It actually kind of strengthened on land. It was close to the shore, but it was by then it was still on land, and the Yucatan Peninsula is known for doing this, for allowing these systems, especially weaker ones, to kind of barely survive, and in this case, actually start something. I'm not too sure what it is about the Yucatan, other than the fact that it's the flattest area in all of Mexico.
Yeah.
Probably also because of its moist nature, I guess, especially along the coast, which could help it, similar to the Louisiana grasslands and marshes.
Sure.
This isn't much of a marshland, but it certainly is quite moist. So, and one thing I was thinking about it is what I stated earlier. The fact that the second its convection started getting onto water, it blew up, right? And that's because of the very warm waters here. If we go to an SST map, and I won't, I'm not sure if Pat will, he doesn't have to, but we will see the Bay of Campeche is at 26 to 27 degree waters. And that is really, really important because that is just enough for tropical cyclone support. All
Yeah.
right, so we got what we're looking at here kind of out of way. There's not really much to look at the moment. And we've talked about where it might go, what may affect it, but it's going to go across the entire Bay of Campeche in 48 hours. And with
Yeah.
that is probably going to come some flooding, right?
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people smarter than me are saying, including the NHC.
Yes.
They're saying that regardless of development of a system, that we may see a flooding event across the Mexican, what do they call it? Mexican area, I guess, of Campeche, and a bit places around the Bay of Campeche curve.
Yeah.
And we may actually be seeing some stuff in the Yucatan Peninsula right now because convection and storms have been going on for a solid 12 hours, I have to say.
Yeah.
Not 12 hours, but at least 6, and it's probably not going to stop for another 12. So we may see a flooding event in the Yucatan Peninsula here. So what? So it's going to struggle, but do we think it's actually going to form? Well, it's kind of a hard question to say. It's really going to depend on what it does. That's the answer for every system. that we have, especially in these early stages. But I'm going to say it has the chance, but I don't really expect it. The best analog that we have for this system, that people have made for this system so far, would be Chris of 2024, if you guys remember that.
Yep.
It was a 12-hour tropical cyclone, and then it just died out almost immediately. And that is what this could do. That's what 12Z GFS is saying. That's what basically all the models are saying. 12 to 18-hour system, and then it kills itself off in the Mexican mountains.
Yeah, that's
So,
yep, go ahead. Yeah, that's
so we got flooding, and I'm pretty sure that's about it. Wind won't be too much of a problem, so that's fun.
yeah,
But
that's good at least.
yeah, it won't become a very strong system if it does become one. And by the way, just for a little thing before we move on to Pat's whatever he's gonna do, I don't know what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
But if this does form, it's 100% gonna form in July. It's gonna be in the Mexican mountains by July. So if it does form, that does mean that we would get 2 June systems, which makes us ahead of a curve in terms of the Atlantic hurricane season.
Yeah.
Pat, off to you.
All right. So, I was looking at it. First of all, Tropical Tidbits is down, I think, unfortunately, again. I'm not yeah, I've been trying to access some models, and I've been trying to access some stuff on that. To try to get a better analog and a better look at this in terms of the conditions that this might be facing, but I've been having no luck with that. Second thing is staying on 91L. I've been keeping a close eye on it. One factor I do want to take a look at, Yoshi, is the moisture component, because I think wind shear is going to be the main inhibitor with this system. But the question I have is, what's the dry air going to do? And thankfully, Pivotal Weather does provide us some stuff to look at in terms of relative humidity, wind, and all that stuff at multiple layers across much of the Gulf. And I'll actually go ahead and go to the the Caribbean setting will actually be better for this. But at least at the low levels right now, it looks like it's actually in a pretty moist environment. As you get up to around 500, there is some dry air to its northwest to pay attention to, and then around 300, there is a little bit. It's not as pronounced as it was at 500. It's more scattered, and then at 200, you got an interesting picture right here. What's your thoughts on overall the dry air aspect of it, and do you think this could be a potential inhibitor based on what we're looking at? Yeah.
I haven't heard of any dry air problems from anyone, especially anyone smarter than me. But we're gonna look together because I haven't actually looked up those maps.
Yeah.
So far, I'm gonna pull up here my browser.
All right.
Tell me when you see it.
Oh.
Should have your stream on it, actually.
Yeah, it is. It does. I see it. Let me go ahead and shift back.
Awesome. So, gonna go to.
There you go. Whenever you're ready.
So this is the GFS hourly right here. What I'm gonna do, I am going to go to, if I can find it here, which would be nice. We got precipitable water. I want to see if we have pure moisture, though. If we don't, I can switch over.
All right.
Okay, for some reason, we don't have actual moisture. Hold on.
Oh, taking a second. All right, I'll shift over.
Sorry.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna, you know what? I think HWRF would be good at this.
All right.
So I'm gonna go here. We're gonna go to. I'm just praying it actually has this. There we go. So this is the most important moisture layer here. 850 millibars. About, I don't know how much in the atmosphere. I believe 3 kilometers. 3 kilometers seems to be right.
Yeah.
But this is where a lot of low-level rotation is, all level rotation. And so it's going to be really important. And what you see right here, we're just going to look over the next 48 hours here. And you see that it has a lot of moisture, a lot of low-level moisture here, which is going to help it a lot. If we go over to 700, which is a bit higher in the atmosphere, in between, I'd say, the LLC and MLC, looking for the next 48 hours, ahead of it, we do have slightly drier air, but just due to the fact that it's like a tropical wave system, it doesn't really get affected by that much, it looks like,
All right.
here. And then if we go over to the 500, we see that, again, it's still a bit, it's much drier than it is at either of the other levels. However, once again, it doesn't, and that, it does look like it could inhibit it some, but it doesn't look like it's like SAL level stuff. I don't think it's going to hurt the system that much.
Okay.
So once again, the problem is going to be wind shear. Now, I wanted to get hourly here. Let me get hourly if I can. I really hope.
This is some good
I
stuff.
really hope.
Let's see. That's the full.
Crap, man.
Try.
Trying to find. Let's just do Mexico. I
Yeah.
don't care at this point.
Let's do it.
Got precipitation, clouds plus moisture. You know what? Let's just make it easier on ourselves. Precipitable water, possibly one of the best tools you can do for moisture here. And Andy Hazelton likes it a lot, so
Yeah.
just saying. So, let's look at that here. It only has, this is weird, but as we see, it has a lot of moisture associated to it and a lot of rainfall,
Mhm.
right? So, to go over to it, throughout its entire life, it isn't impeded by dry air at all. We would
Okay.
see if it was impeded by dry air on any level, we would see a severe drop in precipitable water, but we're just not seeing that, which means that it doesn't really look like moisture is going to be a problem here. So watch as I go, and I believe only the main ECMWF wants what I'm about to do, has what I'm about to do. Let us go to... Okay, it doesn't have it at all. Never mind.
All right.
Let's go to somewhere then. Does EPS have it? I doubt it, but... No, EPS wouldn't have our tropical regions.
Okay.
Let's... Normal GFS will be fine, actually. Gonna go to Central America. You know what? I remember where I got the map from. I was thinking of a specific map, but I know where I got it from.
All right. Oh, cyclonic
Do.
All right.
So this is GFS, but it should be fine enough. This is wind shear maps, 200 to 850 millibars.
Brilliant.
And as we see, and it just gets shredded here. Absolutely. And this is what I'm talking about with that corridor here. Since by the time it reaches about here, it's in this tiny little corridor that it has to go through. And it's only about, I'd say, this thing does not have, okay, that sucks. But I'd say about 50 miles or so, it
Wow.
looks like. 50-mile gap, which isn't really a lot in terms of tropical cyclones. So, either if it doesn't go through this very narrow corridor, which in all honesty, I don't think it will, either it crashes into Mexico or just look at all this yellow and red here. That is a killer, a system killer.
Yeah.
And if it goes anywhere near this, it's going to die. So, and, you know, we used to talk about wind shear with, what was it, Andrea. And we used to say that, well, it's in wind shear, but the thing is that the wind shear was going along with its direction. It was going the same direction as the wind shear. We're seeing the exact opposite here, which means it's fighting against the wind shear, what we call up shear. And if a system goes up shear, then it is going to have it is going to get the full effects, the fullest effects of wind shear that any system can get. It is This system is fighting a very uphill battle right here.
Yeah.
And honestly, since it's only about 48 hours out, it's not a lot that can change here unless this gap decides to open up a bit, which it could, but personally I don't really see it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it looks like shear's going to be the main problem with this. Oof. Um, could you, hmm, which hour are you currently at right now out with this? Like, how far out is this current frame at?
Let me check. This is at
42 hours?
42 hours.
All right.
Let's look at this here. Let's go to, if we go to 850 velocity here, we can see that it's about here, which is funnily enough within the corridor it thinks.
All right.
But a lot of people, this is south, this is much more south according to other models. For
Okay.
what I've heard, anyways. I need to fact check that. Let me do it real quick. This is 12Z, which is good enough. No, go back. Thank you. All right. This is 12Z Euro right here. And we go through this and we see that it actually tries to develop a decent enough system. And as you see, it is much more north than the GFS is, especially once we go to 66 hour, which is very interesting. Timing's interesting because if it does go north like the ECMWF is saying, that's going to increase its time, but also it's going to increase how much wind shear it's going to get.
Yeah,
Let's look at this here.
it looks like it
Once
looks like you
again,
have a
it is
balancing act, it
going.
seems.
Yep, it looks like, and we have a very similar case to the GFS here, maybe a tiny bit less fat, but on the wrong side too, right? Because it doesn't even have that corridor now. With the GFS, it had blues and even a bit of white here,
Yeah.
which means there's barely any shear. But now it's all green and even yellow. Hold on.
All right. Um, while we're waiting for Yoshi to come back, be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. He'll be back in just a second. Let's go ahead and open this up. And okay, hold up once. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to this. Yeah. In the meantime, though, basically, what the situation that we're looking at with this is, oh, hold on. Give him a second. He should be in. He should be in here in just a moment. But essentially, what this system has to. Oh, there you are, Yoshi.
Yep.
You okay? You
So I
good?
had to get.
You
I was
good?
called. Yeah, I had a call. I had a
Okay.
call.
Okay, that's
It
fine.
was very short though, luckily.
All right.
So I don't know if I'm still streaming. No, I'm not. Okay,
Okay.
let's
Okay.
fix
Tropical
that.
Tidbits is back online. That's good.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's good. It looks like it, at least on my screen. But yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
I can
good news.
confirm.
Thank goodness. All right, but please continue. I apologize.
So this is gonna have a much harder time than even the GFS, but it's still developing more, possibly because it is a bit more north and less of its convection is on land.
Yeah.
It still technically is in that corridor that GFS. Sorry, that GFS was showing. So the best case scenario for it would be ECMWF placement of the system itself and GFS placement of wind shear.
Yeah.
So, and as we see, this entire thing is actually kind of you know, a wave breaker.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Let's go look at 200 millibar wind so we can see it a bit easier. And yeah, we see it's something like that. If we go over to tropical tidbits over here, we can see it much easier with
Uh-oh.
troubleshooting. Ah, crap.
Yeah,
That sucks.
it's gonna take
All
it's
right, never
okay.
mind.
Well, let's go back to where we were then. Oof. Okay. It was
Um,
working for a
they
split
don't.
second.
It was working for a second. Now it doesn't want to do it.
Uh,
That sucks.
there's probably quite a lot of
Okay,
people on the
so
website, so we'll have to keep
yeah,
troubleshooting.
good luck, Levi. All right, so um, I was about to look at potential vorticity, which would have been allowing us to locate this kind of tut and see if it is actually one, but that's only on tropical tidbits. I don't know why it's not anywhere else, but
Oof, oof, oof.
it just isn't. Weirdly, this is one of the rare cases that tropical tidbits has something, but weather models doesn't. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Unless it does, and I just haven't noticed.
All right. Well, whenever it gets
But
back
I'm just
on,
looking at
we'll
things.
be back with that. But in
We'll
the
look at that,
meantime,
yeah.
for our audience tuning in, as we continue to jump back and forth, be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. Thank you for the support you have gave us tonight. We really we were really grateful for it. So, yeah. Yoshi, please continue.
All right, awesome. I'm just loading up 250 HPA here, which is very close. So if we go over to 42 hour, we do see that we do kind of have this spirally thing, which I believe is kind of in the shape of a tut.
Yeah.
I believe this has wind shear. I can't tell. Deep layer wind shear, and never mind. That's. It's not even. It's okay. It's not anywhere. It's just something that's. Apparently,
Oof.
it's not. Never mind.
Well,
I had a bit of hope. Okay. Well.
okay.
Weather models. You gotta remove that, man. Very misleading. But so we have
Okay,
this
Tropical
kind of tut
Tidbits
like
is
feature
back
here.
tentatively, Yoshi. Tentatively.
Let. Okay.
Oh man,
Okay.
it's back. All right, let's go to bulk shear and pray that this holds. Oh my goodness, this is going to be chaos tonight.
Oh goodness. Yep. This is 42. I think I'm on the wrong version. 355K. Is it 330 then? I can't tell.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it. I remember it being one specific thing. It was either 355 or free something else, but I can't find the other one, so that's fun.
Yeah, would likely would have
Probably, you know
been
what? Hold on.
355, but yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man. Okay, I'm
Free 30K potential vorticity. So it doesn't appear to be a tut. All right, I was totally wrong. It's more of a general low pressure system.
all right.
It's very interesting. Let me look at. I might be wrong on that. Let me check MSLP anomaly now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just getting ever more confused. I thought it was a tut, and now I thought it was a low pressure system, but it's
Okay.
extremely high pressures over there. It's weird. Probably some like upper level disturbance or
Mhm.
whatever.
All
It's
right.
weird. But we have some upper level disturbance over here that's also kind of causing shear. And then main thing is going to be the trough.
All right.
So it's really like kind of trapped in a situation where you want to go down this very specific path if you want to like do something at all, right?
Yeah.
And models are forming it because it thinks it'll go down that path. It's very lucky, really, to do this.
Yeah.
And we see this almost every year where we have these tight wind shear corridors, and somehow these systems go through exactly that. We saw that with Cristobal. We saw that with 2021 Sea Storm, Charlotte. There we go.
Yeah.
Cristobal, Charlotte. I believe Chris was in a similar vein, and now we have this thing which could do it here. So it's just really interesting how lucky all these storms are.
Yeah.
So
I'm currently looking at
I can't
hurricane
really.
models on tropical tidbits. Yeah, they're all pretty
Mhm.
shot right now. They're pretty inconsistent. I'm not even going to touch them. They're going all
Yeah.
over the place. One frame's over Mexico, the next frame's further to the east, and it's all over the place. I'm not going to touch it for right now, but let's please continue. Let me go ahead and pull your stuff up. All right, but
I I don't think I really have anything else to present. I talked
all
about
right,
all that I could really like talk about.
All right.
Unless if we get something new, that would be really, really nice. Let me check the chats. Actually,
Yeah, I was
we
about to say
might
Dark
get
Steve was noticing that 91L was starting to rotate a little bit.
okay.
I'm gonna check
And you
satellite.
know what? You know what?
Hmm.
We are having that. I can
Oh,
agree with him on that.
yeah. Okay.
All right. Let me take this down here and let me pull up my browser once again because this is very interesting what I just saw.
Yeah.
Can it stop streaming? Thank you. Let
Oh,
let me stream this and there we go.
all right.
So if we go over here to current storms in tropical cyclone WX, sorry,
Yep.
and we're gonna see Invest 91L, we have a radar image.
Oh, yeah.
This is not what I wanted. I wanted a GIF of it. It will not allow me. You suck. Okay, it won't allow me. Hold on. It's probably in
Claudette.
satellite and radar. Watch.
Okay, but yeah.
North Africa, Europe.
All right.
Come on, where are you? Dude, this genuinely is like freaking me out.
Oh boy.
Come on. Composite? What's composite?
I think
Is that like composite radar?
I guess.
I know. All right, let me go to something else then.
All right. This will be perfect.
No,
Oh no,
I
no.
didn't want AccuWeather.
No, we don't want
Well, rather in AccuWeather.
it. Okay.
Imágenes de radar. You know what? This is still not what I'm looking for,
We'll
actually.
figure it out. We'll figure it out eventually.
You know what? Let me stop sharing my screen here.
All right. Let me.
Dude, the stop streaming button is always broken. And let me share. Um, let me. No, I have an idea. Open link. There we go. That's how we can do it.
All right.
Bam.
You got
All
it.
right, so this is
Oh,
the
we got
GIF
it.
I
We got it.
wanted.
We got it. I'm showing it. Showing it. We got it, guys. Oh.
And you see very clear, I wouldn't say very clear, but it's somewhat noticeable rotation effect. We got, trying to look at it here, we got the bottom trying to go right. But especially here, these clouds here, you see these storms, it's
Yes.
trying to go east. Sorry,
Yeah.
not east, west. It's trying to go west. And that's important because in a system like this, you want the north clouds to go west and then south, and you want the southern clouds to go east and bend towards the north here.
Yeah.
And that is actually what we're seeing a good bit, especially on our northern clouds here. And this is extremely interesting.
That looks decently
So
healthy for what it's at right now.
it really is, honestly. Let me see what we got on. Okay. Okay. I can see on the east side of the storm on satellite, I can see these clouds trying to go a bit uh north here.
Yeah.
So we are slowly starting to get some kind of rotation here, which is very interesting.
Yep.
Trying to look at the other things.
That's unbelievable what we're seeing with the radar.
And you know what? I'm going to shout out one of my friends here because he is very much deserving of a whole bunch of follows here. And,
Yeah.
he lost his account a couple months ago and now he's back. He has like something I don't even know at this point. Let me get it.
Yeah.
There we go. So, this is Wolferman Adler, one of my friends, but
yep.
also really great guy, honestly.
Yep.
Really, really,
He's
really great
working
guy.
out
He's
with
very
us.
smart. He knows what he's doing, right? Quote, definitely some good progress in the mid-levels with 91L. Note the wave axis becoming increasingly defined on radar. Surface observations and visible satellite reflect this, and it's quite possible that a broad circulation becomes apparent overnight. So this is what he's talking about. We'll pull up a full map here, actually, on Tropical Tidbits. Very lucky to have this back because now we can look at this. It's not the same thing. We used to have more, but... Well, I swear we had more. Where'd he get this from? That's weird.
Yeah.
But either way, this is kind of what we're looking at here,
Wow.
which is extremely interesting, right? If we
Yeah.
go look at this, we got a very broad circulation here. We got it's going down. It looks like it's trying to gain some kind of surface rotation, at least on the observation sites in Mexico.
Yeah, and Ian D.
So,
Hazelton also responded. Bay of Campeche is known to add a spin or two, a spin up or two. That's
yeah, and
interesting.
that's
So
true because that is because of how the coastline is shaped. It's quote, and I've heard it like this, and I like it the best. Cyclonically shaped, which pretty much it is in something where it has the maximum amount of land friction that'll help out, spin it up
yeah,
and due to just how the coast is shaped, it's very round, so
yeah,
that's going to help vorticity a lot, and
yes, it
this
is.
is likely what we're seeing here. So that's definitely going to help, and I do believe Adler's forecast that it could make a very broad um surface circulation overnight. The
Yeah,
question is, would that be enough to help it out as a tropical system? And if it does it enough, then yeah, absolutely it will. The question is, how early will it do it? Will it do it overnight, as he's saying, or will he do it once all of it is on water? And well, like we're seeing here, it's probably doing it now,
yeah, it's making
right?
good progress
So
so far.
it is.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Dark Steve is in the chat saying it's crazy. It's doing this over land. I will say it's not exactly unheard of for a system that's just about to move over water to do this. But I would say the best example I've seen of this personally happening was when Ida made landfall in Cuba, like not the Isle of Youth, but Cuba proper, where ultimately I looked at radar. It actually started to tighten up quite a bit over land. That's the best example I've seen of that. Because Ida ended up making landfall in the flattest part of Cuba, in extreme western Cuba, and this is doing a similar thing here, where it's over the flattest part of Mexico. But the fact that it's doing it this early is interesting, and it's already off to a good start, I would say. So, yeah, Yoshi,
Mhm.
please continue. Wow.
One friend, which is saying who's smarter than me. I always say a lot of people are smarter than me, but they truly are. Given 91L has decent MLC vorticity prior to emerging in the BOC, this is definitely a good sign that TCG is quite likely to occur, in my opinion.
Wow.
And if we actually go to my site, which my site shout out, big
Yep,
win
I've
here,
been using it.
we're gonna go to um where is it? There we go. Okay, so if we go over here, we're gonna see 850 and 700 millibar vorticity. Ooh, that was actually I was expecting something slightly worse. Actually, that's really good.
Yeah,
Just look at this. That's actually really good for 850 millibar vorticity. Now,
yeah,
to be fair, it does have kind of like a look where it has two competing vortmaxes, but it looks like it might try to split off from the other thing, and it
yeah,
might try to become its own little system here. And the vorticity is there. It's there. It just needs to be shaped a little bit better, and it'll look like a tropical cyclone, at least
yeah,
concerning vorticity. So, the models aren't too enthusiastic about it right now. But what we're looking at right now, at this point, I think we should just do a whole bunch of nowcasting. The models aren't
I
doing that
agree.
great. It looks like they haven't been doing that great. So we should base it more off what we're seeing in observations right now. Don't care about the models as much. We should look
No.
at them, to be fair, but
Yeah,
since they are still something we can look at, but mainly, I say, we should be looking at observations such as vorticity, radar, and satellite.
I agree
So
100%.
that's my entire take on it, and until we have more information, then that's probably all I'm gonna say since we don't have much more. Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out going forward. But basically, the main thing for tonight, for those tuning in, is right now 91L is making pretty good progress developing and organizing. The last thing I do want to talk about before I shift over to another section is essentially, what do you think Invest 95E? Do you think that's going to have as big of an effect as maybe you would think it would, considering how close it is to the coast of Mexico and Guatemala? Or do you think it won't have much of an effect on 91L because of how small it is? What's your take on it?
Honestly, it's really going to depend on how much it forms. Will
All
it be
right.
enough to create a strong outflow, which goes into the Gulf of Mexico? Because if it does, then at that point, just call it quits, right? Way too much wind shear going from literally everywhere. Not
Yeah.
even from the trough, not even from the upper level low, but also from the south, which is really important. Its only safe space would be gone at that point.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that from what I'm seeing and from what a lot of people are saying, 95E is taking its sweet old time actually doing anything, right?
Yeah.
So, if and it only has 48 hours and it's expected to 95E is expected to not be a system for a bit longer than that. So, that means that we may see 95E not become much of a problem here, I'd say. Again, it's like a watch thing since we don't know that much in the future because models are total crap at this right now.
Yeah.
Not as much on 95E, I'd say, but they're saying that, we're not going to see it do really much of anything until after the system dissipates, even if it becomes a system. So it's going to be very interesting, but I'd say that at least for now, we shouldn't worry too much on 95E and its outflow or whatnot, it taking energy. Um, yeah, I don't think it's going to become that much of a problem. At least right now, it has the potential to, but it probably won't.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So, with that being said, 91L. The main takeaways. We're off to a good start tonight. Things are getting pretty interesting with that, and based on the opinions of some meteorologists. Oh, hold on one second. Oh, someone said they could. Okay, you guys can all hear me, right? I Someone in chat was saying they couldn't, but okay. So essentially, the like I said, 91L is looking decently healthy for the way it is now. And the main takeaway is right now it has some time to develop and it has some time to get going. But the question is that is it going to be too influenced from the shear? Is it going to have enough time to do that? That's the main factors we're looking at, and that's stuff we will continue to keep you updated here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. But the second thing I do want to pay attention to, though, is Yoshi. I've been seeing some model runs of, at least in the next 7 days, something potentially forming off the East Coast. They're mainly ensemble runs from the European. I want to know, what are your thoughts on this, and do you think this amounts to much? Because I've been seeing this stuff going on mainly through Weather Nerds, which I know is a bit chaotic in its own right. But yeah, the European. What the heck? It's not even showing it. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. But yeah. Okay. Never mind. We'll deal with that later. But if you've been looking at but Yoshi, if you've been looking at if you've been looking at those factors, what's your take on potential development off the East Coast, off the Carolina coast, to be more accurate? Because that's what I've been seeing through multiple days of Europe of the ensembles. What is your take of that? I hate that. Oh, Yoshi is deafened, so. Okay, never mind. Um, uh, all right. Well, Yoshi is deafened right now, so we'll wait for him to come back. But we have been watching that, and okay, does the GFS at least? Okay, I'm gonna refresh this real quick. Oh man. Okay. Let's look at. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Weather Nerds is a lot of the stuff is currently not doing so great right now, but oh boy. Oh hey Brendan.
What's going on,
Hey,
Pat's Path Predictor?
Hey, we're streaming tonight. We're talking about 91L. We're talking about development potentially on the East Coast, and we're talking about a few other things. So, welcome to the stream.
Thank you, my friend, and thank you for the viewers for joining tonight.
Yep.
I would like to also just kind of ask a question to you, Pat. Did you hear about the potential proposal to get rid of the NAM?
Yeah, I've heard about that. Consolidating a few other runs into one big run, which honestly, yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. So,
I don't know if the RFS is ready. I don't think it is.
we'll
I think
see.
it's very far from it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens
But
with that, but yeah. Have you been watching Tropics, Brendan?
not as much as I would like.
I see. I see. We're looking at 91L tonight. That's currently hovering over the Yucatan Peninsula. It's about to cross into the Gulf through the Bay of Campeche. Based on what we've been seeing with satellite and based on what we've been seeing with radar, actually, the system is relatively getting more organized than what you would think for a system of this of this caliber.
HWRF's interesting.
What's up?
HWRF's interesting.
What is going on?
HWRF is interesting.
All right, what do we got
Very
with that?
interesting, actually.
What's the HWRF going for? I mean, I don't. Okay.
I don't know if what I was looking at is now due to run or whatnot. I don't think it is. It only has had one run so far. But we go.
Oh, go ahead.
Nah, it doesn't look right. It's very large for its size. Anyways, so we go over here, and bam, look at it.
Yeah,
Just
I saw
look
that.
at it for a moment, indulge on it. It's a TC, right? It's
Yep.
54 hour. It's taking the Euro's side, kind of.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. It's more north, and it has a lot more time, about 56 hours here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be extremely interesting. HWRF, for just based off pure numbers so far, has been the top on basically everything. But what it really doesn't help it with the fact that every other model is kind of crap at it.
Yeah.
If we go over to here, way too south, even for the GFS.
For the look at the HMON.
Go over to HAFS here. I think I looked at HFS. Either way, it's general mess, right? Very disorganized. It goes up the coast for no reason whatsoever, and it emerges on the other side as whatever this is, right?
Yeah.
And we look at the B variant. I accidentally clicked on parent. B variant of HAFS here, and it does the same thing, but way faster at least. So, is that goodness? It's just a whole bunch of nothing. It's a whole bunch of noise practically.
Yeah.
And then we can just go to GF, and then here's the mainline models here. GFS, Tropical Tidbits doesn't know how to track lows, part 1. ECMWF, probably going to fare a bit better since it has a slightly better low going on here. There's a lot of invests.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. It didn't even load it. This is 12Z.
Yeah,
That's
the
fun.
European is
Okay.
not quite
Never mind on
there.
your A. It's complete crap. So if we look at EPS cyclones over here, which is the last thing we're probably going to look at before you end the stream, there's not a lot to look at, really.
Yeah.
We go to ENS MSLP Spaghettios. I believe this is 12 hour. Yes, it is. Awesome. We see that it's a whole bunch of nothing, really. We just
Yeah.
get these very faint signals at hour 54, and then once again, it's a map full of pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
So, again, models are complete crap at this. Only mainline Euro, maybe Icon, and definitely HWRF are really in on this. But once again, right, you gotta look at what's happening now, and you look at what's happening now, and you can't deny it. It's doing better than everyone thought it would over the
Yes.
bay, over the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yep.
So that's gonna be very interesting. We're not gonna be here. We're not gonna be around here to look at Zero Z, but that's gonna be interesting though.
Yeah, 0Z
Very
happened.
interesting to look at.
Yep.
So
yeah.
that's all I got. I can't speak for Pat, but I'm pretty sure that's all he's got.
Yeah.
And
At least for
yeah.
covering for at least the main stuff for tonight. The other stuff I wanted to talk about was mainly like some more speculation stuff and all of that for what's going to happen this season, all of that stuff. But I'm actually going to
Are you
because
gonna talk about that Florida system?
yeah, I was going to talk about that
I
potential.
knew it.
Yeah. But while we're doing that very briefly, briefly, and I'll ask your opinion before I ask your opinion on it. If you have any questions, please be sure to type them into the chat. We'd be happy to answer them for you guys tonight. Also, like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. And one last thing, for those who are wondering why I'm looking like this to the screen, it's because my monitor that I have all my weather stuff on is in front of me, and my side computer screen where you guys are, where I'm watching the chat roll in and all of that stuff, it's over here on my PC over here. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. That's kind of why I look a little funny tonight, looking like this. So that's just why it is like that. But Yoshi, what's your thoughts on that Florida system? Oh boy.
That Florida system. It's very interesting, very speculative, a lot of misinformation on it, and a lot of uneducatedness on it. But basically, there's a lot of uncertainty with it right now.
Okay.
There was a grouping of someone who posted a group of models about this, actually. I don't remember who it was, but let's look at a tweet by an actual meteorologist on this, which, like, I was surprised meteorologists are taking note of it. I better do that. So, let me share my screen once again.
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
No, but not Discord. I don't want Discord.
Okay. Well, it's taking a second.
I want where. What the?
Uh-oh.
That's weird. Oh, there it is. Okay. Cool. All right, so this is what we're looking at over here, and it's very interesting. It's by Eric Webb.
All right.
Though we're over a week out, there may be a legit potential for tropical development over the Gulf or off of the southeast United States coast over July 4th. A trough split followed by a building ridge to the north is a classic recipe to get an early season homegrown tropical system near the United States coast. So here are the maps with it, right? And he notes a very much, I want to say, like pre-system Fae type of thing, you know. Very similar, a bit more south towards the ocean. You know, think Emily, really.
Yeah.
Emily 2017. Yeah. To those who remember that, think of that basically. And, you know, you look at this map and it's a bit larger than that. We do have a low pressure system over in the northeast that is actually causing this front here. However, it is going to stall, and some say that it could very well actually cause a system to form, because stalled fronts like this all the time can create something like this. And there's another map which is a high pressure. It's very interesting here. I'm not just split followed by a building ridge to the north is a classic recipe. So ridge building, which means that it's going to be slower getting up, right? So that means that it's kind of being forced into one place. And you know, these type of things being put in one place is basically a recipe for something to form here.
Yeah.
This is also part of the Atlantic basin that's most climatologically favored for tropical development at this time of year. Not to mention, sea surface temperatures in the east central Gulf and off the U.S. coast are considerably warmer than normal. which is one of a few things we do see happen for the Atlantic case whenever it comes to subtropical warmth. The
Yeah.
subtropic systems have an easier time to really form. So that is certainly interesting here. And that's all I've really seen on it so far, other than Euro AI. The Euro AI actually has been leading this kind of movement, right?
Okay.
For something like this.
All
And
right.
and you look at this and you go like, ooh, that's cool. The problem I have with it, look at the number over there after forecast hour. 240, right? According to my own rules that I have made to myself, I'm not supposed to talk about this. So I'm not saying any certainty
Yeah.
here. And, this is a very far off system. And we're showing this not being very serious. And I want to tell y'all, how much do we have here, actually? 61 people, all right? When you look at this, I want all of you, every single one of you, the 61 people in the audience, to get anything out of this tonight, other than the 91L system. If you see any of this, don't take it seriously unless if we get closer to hour 120.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of things could change, and especially this type of stuff could change. Front storms that come out of fronts can change a lot. Subtropical systems can change a lot, hour by hour even. So just looking at this and immediately going, oh, something's going to form, that would be very immature and very unwise of me or anyone on this team to really say here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't think this will form. It's going to have a very hard time to form once again, because it's a good genesis pathway, but we're not as sure about the dynamics of it, such as wind shear or dry air. More than likely, dry air is going to be a problem because it's in the subtropics.
Yes.
So, don't take this seriously, actually, please. Until we get closer to hour 120, maybe hour 168, don't take this too seriously for your Floridians. You're safe for now, I can assure you that. If we know or if we forecast something to actually happen, we'll tell you. But for now, we're not going to tell you it's going to form, because more than likely it won't.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess that's about. I guess unless I'll do one last check on 95L. Or sorry, not 95L, 91L. We're not even close to 95L just yet. I'm gonna do one last check on it and taking a quick gander at it in terms of how it's going, and then I'm gonna kind of call it a night because I have to get up early tomorrow for work and all that stuff. So that's gonna be interesting. But ultimately, what we're noticing with 91L, that's kind of the main show that we've had for tonight, is definitely trying to get its act together. Definitely trying to organize that quite a bit faster than I think a lot of these models are anticipating. Now, will the models catch up on this? We're not 100% sure yet, and hopefully we'll know by the time my video tomorrow comes out at 4 o'clock Eastern time every day that we're doing this. So, yeah, hopefully we'll know more then, and hopefully the models will start to catch up on it. But by and large, what I'm looking at tonight is essentially it's a system that's definitely organizing quicker. We'll just need more data and more information tomorrow morning, and once we get that, we'll have a better idea of what's going on. But Yoshi, first of all, thank you for coming on the stream tonight. We really appreciate it once again.
I love being on here, man.
Yoshi?
Huh?
Thank you for coming on the stream. We really appreciate it here.
I love being on here, man. It's great,
That's awesome. I appreciate that. But we are going to go ahead and end the stream tonight. I know it's a little early, but I have stuff I have to do tomorrow. There'll be a video out tomorrow at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Central time, following up on 91L and seeing how it's progressing. This is also day 25 of my Iron Man streak, where I'm uploading 100 videos in 100 days. So I hope you guys are really appreciative of that. That's the goal. So for 100 days, I'm going to upload a video or do a stream or some sort of long form content. This is where the kind of the quarter mark of that. And if I miss a day, the amount of days that I have posted daily, that gets donated to a hurricane relief organization. So yeah, we're at 25 days, so $25 if I miss a day. So thank you very much for joining. Be sure to like the video and stream. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. And with that being said, if you want to join the Storms United Discord server, you want to ask us questions, you want to hang out, it's the pinned chat in the description. Not in the description, it's the pinned chat in the stream. So be sure you take a look at that, and you feel free to join. But with that being said, have a wonderful night, guys. Stay safe.
Hold on, Pat.
What's up?
Pat.
Yeah.
I was hoping to do something. I was hoping to do this a bit earlier, but I forgot.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to shout one of my friends out here. He's very great guy, very smart guy. Adler.
Yep.
Dude. I don't know if he's watching this, but Adler, if you're gonna watch this after, you're a great man, very smart man. All right. Here's his link. His Twitter link here. If you have Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it, here it is. Please follow him. He's a very great guy. He has a lot of good information. He knows what he's talking about.
Yes, he does.
If he says something, he knows it. All right? That's definitely way more than me. I can assure you. Right? So yeah, if you really want to, follow him.
Yeah.
I love the man, you know?
Yeah. Austin Adler.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yep. Andrew Austin Adler is really good. I've been kind of talking to him. He's in Storms United with us. So, yeah. Yoshi, thank you for shouting him out. He's been a good resource to all of us. But with that being said, we're closing out the stream tonight. You have a nice night, everybody. Stay safe.